every single year since the beginning of time, there has been a rookie quarterback that comes out of college football, and that player ends up either meeting expectations or sometimes failing miserably. So I think any sort of rookie that comes out, no matter how heralded that rookie may be, is always going to come with a healthy dose of skepticism, particularly if you're not a part of that rookie's organization. Because you know how it is, where your team drafts a high-end quarterback. You're like, oh, my God, this is our franchise player. We're building around this guy, and sometimes it works out, but a lot of times it doesn't. But I think that's just a natural part of the game. These guys can be thrilling in college football. Bryce Young is a perfect example. C.J. Stroud is a perfect example. Now, it's not to say that Bryce Young isn't going to be a great pro. It's not to say that C.J. Stroud will be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but they had very disparate rookie seasons, and not a lot of people would have predicted that. So you really do never know.
Well, it's also a team sport, because if you're a rookie quarterback, and even if you're really good, if you have a bad offensive line and you go to a bad franchise, it's even harder to be really good. I always remember, I think it was David Carr, who went to the Texans like 20-some years ago. And I was like, man, he's going to be really good. Then he went to the Texans and he just got crushed every single play. The offensive line was so terrible. And it feels like one of those players that maybe if he had gone to a different team, he would be a lot better. So, like, that's how I feel kind of about Drake May these days. I feel like it's going to be very much an uphill climb for him to have a great rookie season, simply because the Patriots as a team don't have a whole lot of talent on the offense. Like, they have a few guys returning, like Ramondre Stevenson. Maybe he is, like, decent at running back if he can stay healthy, but I'm not even sure if he's back yet. Like, he's somebody who's coming back from a major injury. They've got a new head coach, and it just feels like a rebuilding season for the Patriots. So I am seeing some people kind of like leading the charge. Drake May, offensive rookie of the year, 2,500, plus 2,500. But I don't know. I feel like this is not a bet that I would like to make on somebody who we don't even know if he's going to play all the games. Because right now, it looks like it's going to be Jacoby Brissett that has the best chance to start day one.
Yeah, and I think it's smart, honestly, because if you read sort of between the lines when it comes to the coaches in New England, and it's not knocking Drake May, they're just saying, look, he has a lot to work on, which is fair. He certainly does. And when you have a lot to work on and you have an offensive line that may be meh, maybe okay, but even more than that, you don't have any guys to throw to. I mean, certainly there are receivers, but this is arguably one of the worst receiving cores in the entire league. And the thing about the Patriots is they didn't make a lot of moves during the offseason. Now, drafting, sure, they drafted some new guys to come in, but they didn't make a lot of move in free agency either. And if you look at their front office, their GM has never been a GM before. Their defensive coordinator has never been a defensive coordinator before. Gerard Mayo has never been a head coach before. So we tend to focus on the players, and I understand that. But, man, there's a lot of inexperience in the front office and on the field as well. It's just really hard for me to get on board with anything involving the Patriots. So if they're going to be this bad, and I think they are, then I would make sure you don't just suddenly throw Drake May into the fire.
I think we should rank all the position groups for the Patriots just by one syllable. Like you said, the offensive line, meh. The defense, huh? Because the defense is actually pretty good. Quarterback room, meh. Head coach,
Who knows?
What are the sounds that you associate with the Patriots this year?
Probably a grunting sound like Robbie Ray, like ugh, like that. Ugh, I don't know. I will say this when it comes to the Patriots and the defense, and I think it's one thing that we're really not talking about, is that Bill Belichick, say what you want about the end of his career in New England, and it didn't go the way he wanted it to go. I get that. But let's not forget that Bill Belichick's calling card, even before he became a head coach, was putting together stellar defenses. And last year, the Patriots did have a stellar defense. The problem is they couldn't score any points. They averaged like 13.9 points per game. I believe that was last in the NFL in scoring. So even when the defense was doing its job, it didn't matter because the offense couldn't move the football. So the reason why I say that is we're expecting, we hope, that there will be an improvement on defense now that Bill Belichick is gone. But defense is not the reason why he doesn't have a job in the NFL right now. It's not the reason why he left that head coaching position. The defense is still very, very good, or was under Bill Belichick. So I think there is a possibility that while other areas of the team improve somewhat, and that needs to take place, there did need to be a change, there's a possibility the defense regresses because Bill Belichick isn't there, and you've got a guy who's been promoted as a coordinator after 7 years who has never been a defensive coordinator. So you might see some improvement in I don't know, the passing aspect of the game if Jacoby Brissett is good or Drake May surprises, but we could see a lapse on the defense now.
Yeah, I still think it's going to be a good defense, but you're right. It's going to have to kind of carry the load for this team, especially since they're so offensively stunted. I think maybe the strategy for the Patriots, if you want to bet on them, is maybe you take them against some of their division rivals in games that maybe they can kind of muck up. Because we've seen this with teams with really good defenses. If they can keep it lower scoring, maybe they can cover the spread simply because their defense is so good. But I also alluded to this strategy. When a team is supposed to be really bad, and they almost hit rock bottom last year, they were 4-13 last year. So really the only way it feels like they can go is up. And some of this maybe depends on Drake May and like if the offense can be at least be mediocre. But their win total this year is set in the 4.5 or 5.5 range. Like if you like the 4.5, you can take the over for -160 or the under for +130, or you could play 5.5 for a win total. Hit the over at +155 or take the under for -200. So if you like the under, it looks like you have to play 4.5. Jenks, this is a really low number. Is there a case for the Patriots to win 5 games this year?
No, there is not. There is not. I know. I just don't buy it. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll surprise us and be just as good on defense. And they will have Matthew Judon back. So he was great through 4 games, missed the rest of the season. And they drafted some young guys they hope will be good. They have Christian Barmore on the defensive line. He's a good young stud down there. They've got some nice pieces on defense, but you just never know. And the other caveat to that is the Jets should be better. Because when you're talking about playing in this division, well, now the Jets will have Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. He may not be the Aaron Rodgers of old, but he's damn sure an upgrade over Zach Wilson. So now in the division, you get tougher play than maybe you had in the previous season or two. So even if they improve incrementally, that division is going to be a grind for them because it's essentially a 3-team race. I just can't make a case at all for New England in any way, except for the fact that the only case is their former head coach is doing well now.
Well, even if you look at the strength of schedule, guess who has the second hardest schedule in this year? It is the New England Patriots. So we mentioned this. It's not just the fact that, they're in a rebuilding season. They also play in a really tough division, and they have one of the hardest schedules in the entire NFL. So maybe that's why that win total is so low. But still, this is a hard team to find some bets on. If you are bullish on New England, you can take them to win the AFC East at 25-1 to win the AFC. Good luck. It's 100-1, or to win the Super Bowl, it's 150-1.